Tennessee, home of the Smoky Mountains and the Vols, a place known for its southern hospitality, though lately that warmth feels like it's turning more into hostility. Something's changing here, not in the people, but in the laws.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signs a bill that mandates businesses and government facilities to put up signs if they let transgender people use multi-person bathrooms, locker rooms, or changing rooms associated with their gender identity.
Two bills, one restricting drag and the other banning gender-affirming care, have passed in the legislature and are on their way to Governor Bill Lee's desk. But before
quietly signing a controversial piece of legislation into law today, the bill puts public schools at risk of a lawsuit if they allow transgender students or staff to use multi-person locker rooms or restrooms that don't align with their sex at birth.
Tennessee is one of several states that passed laws banning transgender people from participating in high school sports.
Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, a Franklin Republican, has filed two of the controversial bills. One that would outlaw children's transgender therapy and another to ban drag shows deemed sexual in nature.
Tennessee House has passed a bill requiring transgender student athletes to compete on teams that match the gender they were assigned at birth. LGBTQ and human rights advocates say the bill directly discriminates against transgender students and people.
This week, a federal judge blocked a new state law requiring businesses to post a notice if they allow transgender people to use bathrooms. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee today signed two bills into law. One places restrictions on drag shows and the other bans gender-affirming medical procedures, including surgery and prescribed medications.
Living while transgender in an increasingly hostile environment. The rise of anti-trans laws in Tennessee. Since 2022, 106 anti-trans bills have been introduced. Of those, 35 have passed. Today, I'm going to tell you about 6 in detail. First up is SB 1, which prohibits gender-affirming care for minors in the state of Tennessee. This law was upheld by the Supreme Court case United States v. Scrimeti, which confirmed it does not violate federal equal protection. SB 1 has major implications for transgender youth, healthcare providers, and families navigating care decisions in Tennessee. Next up is Senate Bill 1440, which establishes a legal definition of sex for Tennessee statutes. Under this law, sex is defined as a person's immutable biological sex determined by anatomy and genetics at the time of birth. SB 1440 has significant implications for transgender individuals and organizations supporting them, as it codifies a birth-assigned definition of sex throughout Tennessee law. Next, Senate Bill 228 addresses participation in public middle school and high school sports. As enacted, a student's eligibility for interscholastic athletic activities is determined by the student's sex at birth. This law directly affects transgender students, restricting participation in school sports consistent with their gender identity. SB 1182 requires that any public or private entity operating a building open to the public must post a notice at each restroom if their policy allows members of either biological sex to use any public restroom in the facility. SB 1182 affects businesses, public buildings, and their patrons, and has implications for transgender and gender-diverse individuals navigating public spaces in Tennessee. Senate Bill 1810 regulates how schools handle students' requests related to gender identity. As enacted, any request by a student for an accommodation to affirm their gender identity must be reported to both a school administrator and the student's parents. The law also prohibits school employees from knowingly providing false or misleading information to parents about a student's gender identity or plans to transition. Additionally, it authorizes civil action by parents or the AG of the state against schools that fail to comply. This bill significantly impacts student privacy, parental notification, and school policies on gender identity accommodations. Senate Bill 1229 governs sexual orientation and gender identity curriculum in schools. As enacted, it requires a school or public charter to notify a student's parent or guardian before beginning such curriculum. Parents or guardians are allowed to excuse their child from the instruction, and the school cannot penalize an excused student academically, provided they complete an alternative assignment. This directly affects how LGBTQ topics are taught and how students and families engage with these lessons in Tennessee school. The real question before us is why? Why is this happening, and why are they passing so many... Oh yeah, that's right. Religion in Tennessee is often used as a tool to justify laws targeting transgender people. Lawmakers invoke God or a moral authority to legitimize restrictions on healthcare, school participation, and public accommodations. This framing casts transgender youth as a societal threat, amplifying stigma and creating real harm in their everyday lives. By turning faith into a political weapon, policy decisions are presented as a moral necessary rather than discriminatory. An example of these such lawmakers is Jonathan Skrmetti, seen here watching a group of trans kids get bullied. Skrmetti recently spoke at the 2025 Southern Baptist Convention's annual meeting in Dallas, where he is quoted saying, "I am in the middle of things that are so much bigger than I have any business going in the middle of, but I'm here for a reason, so I just try to remember it's not about me, and that God puts His people where He needs them, where He wants them." Of course, there are other forces behind this growing hate in Tennessee beyond religion. Historical and systematic issues like white supremacy, partisan politics, and entrenched social hierarchies all play a role. These deeply rooted structures influence lawmakers and public opinion. Together, they create a perfect storm that disproportionately targets transgender communities, shaping laws, policies, and everyday experiences. But what do these laws actually mean for the lives of transgender people?
I have really lost hope in this area.
After living in the state of Tennessee for decades, Jamie Combs says she's rethinking the place she calls home.
The state legislature put forth multiple bills targeting the LGBTQ community, including transgender women like Jamie. 10 News.
Even amid the flurry of anti-trans laws being passed, Tennesseans are still finding hope, from queer pastors in Knoxville offering sanctuary and support to all, to electing our first transgender lawmaker in Nashville. But we also have Bryant's Bridge, where they're bringing hope to these hills.
Nonprofit in South Knoxville is devoted to offering young people with nowhere to go a safe place to stay for weeks, months, even years. 10 News reporter Olivia Degg spoke to the founder of Bryant's Bridge and to young people living in a home welcoming to all.
This South Knoxville home is a safe haven.
I'm very appreciative of how fast they moved to get me here because it was a very dark time in my life.
Amelia is one of 5 people who live at Bryant's Bridge right now.
It kept me off the street, actually.
This house opened 3.5 years ago on a Housing First model.
We believe that if you don't have housing, recovery from everything is really impossible.
Residents can stay as long as 1 to 5 years.
We're not trying to change the entire world. We are trying to prevent long-term chronic homelessness, 5 people at a time.
Bryant's Bridge has helped 17 young people get off the streets.
That first night was the first time that I felt safe, where I could sleep.
And feel loved.
I guess after that, it was like I didn't have to hide.
More than a roof, more than a bed. Bryant's Bridge shows people love. In South Knoxville, I'm Olivia Degg.
And of the 17 people who have stayed in Bryant's Bridge, 9 have since found permanent housing, and you can find ways to help that nonprofit right now at WBIR.com.
While yes, Tennessee has passed laws that target transgender people, the resilience of the community and the work of organizations across the state show that change is possible. From programs like Bryant's Bridge, which provide housing and resources, to advocacy efforts pushing for representation and inclusion, there are concrete ways for you to make a difference. Support local groups like Bryant's Bridge in Knoxville, connect with queer-affirming faith communities, or just stay informed and take action through Take action through organizations like the Tennessee Equality Project or the Human Rights Campaign. We all have a role to play in this. Speak up, donate, volunteer, and challenge injustice wherever you see it. Here in these hills, we stand with our transgender neighbors, proud, unbowed, and demanding the rights they deserve. We will show up, we will fight, and we will make sure they are seen, heard, and respected.